going on, y'all? Welcome back to this week's Bourbon of the Week. My name's Chris. I'm going to be your host for today, and we have our final round, round 4 of our Elite 8 matchup in our March Madness Bourbon Bracket Single Barrel Edition. We had Jack Daniels Coy Hill take over Heaven's Door. We had Evan Williams lose to Blanton's. We had Russell's Reserve, last year's 2021 winner, beat Kentucky Spirit, and now we finally have Elmer T. Lee versus John J. Bowman. Before we get started, make sure you click that like, make sure you click that subscribe button. You know the rules. Marissa's going to come down. She's going to pick a bottle. She's going to pour it in one of these blacked out glasses. That way we can't even tell which one is which by color. We have the eyelashes. We have the sunglasses. We have the corresponding blacked out Glencairn. She's going to write it down. I'm going to come down. I'm going to try and guess which one's which. And then we're going to pick our favorite to see who's going to move on to the semifinals. Let's get her down here.
What up, people? What stickers do we have today? Some sunglasses and some sleepy eyes. This is Elmer T with the sunglasses.
All right, so let's get started on this. This one's interesting, just like our last matchup, the Russell's Reserve versus the Kentucky Spirit, obviously both coming out of Wild Turkey, the exact same mash bill, right? This one is interesting for a similar reason. Elmer T. Lee comes from Buffalo Trace. We know that. We know it's mash bill number 2, which is their high rye, about 12 to 15% rye mash bill. This is John J. Bowman. This comes from A. Smith Bowman Distillery. This is in Virginia. Obviously, this is a Virginia straight bourbon whiskey, but this is sourced. And who is it sourced from? Well, this company is owned by Sazerac, and it's sourced apparently from Buffalo Trace. This is mash bill number 1 instead of mash bill number 2, which is their low rye at about 10%. And it's also triple distilled, twice distilled at Buffalo Trace, once distilled at John J. Bowman or A. Smith Bowman in their copper stills. So it's very interesting. We're going to talk a little bit more about all of that as we get going, but everybody knows before we get started, time for the traditional sip. Cheers, y'all. This one's going to be good. So we're going to start over here with the Elmer T. Lee and just talk a little bit about it. We already told you the specifics on it, right? Buffalo Trace, mash bill number 2, the high rye mash bill, comes in at 90 proof. This again, A. Smith Bowman Distillery. The Bowman Brothers original, like their small batch stuff, not their single barrel, is one of my favorite bottles. And that was way before I even knew it was owned by Buffalo or owned by Sazerac and might be Buffalo Trace. And you can kind of tell now that I'm a little bit deeper into my bourbon drinking career that it does have a lot of similarities. So I assume this is going to have a lot of similarities as well, even though it's mash bill number 2 versus mash bill number 1. That being said, John J. Bowman does come in at 100 proof versus the 90 proof. So I'm curious if I can pick that up off of these glasses here. Glass 1 was absolutely delicious. I do want to sip glass 2 though before we get into specifics on everything on the tasting notes. This girl does not put any liquor in this. Do you watch her pour this? No liquor in it at all. So both of these bottles are actually non-age stated. The Elmer T. Lee, I have no idea on. There is stuff out there saying that John J. Bowman is between that 9 and 10 year range. So I'm expecting a little bit of age on that. The first time I had Elmer T. Lee, and this is one of these bottles that goes on the secondary market for outrageous prices. I've seen this in Maryland twice for $400 and $500 respectfully. I found this bottle, I forget if it was $60 or $70. I actually did a couple videos talking about how much I spent on this, and I mentioned $60 in one and $70 in another. I forget it, maybe it was $60 plus tax, so it was near that $70 mark. But for, I believe it's 50 MSRP, 55 MSRP. So $60 or $70, not a bad ask when you're talking $400, $500 on the secondary. Now I have mentioned that it's $400, $500 on the secondary, and I have plenty of people who are like, oh, I can buy that on the secondary for $250. I'm happy for you. I hope you can find it at $250, and maybe you do or do not want this at $250. Again, it's one of those things that as a bourbon hunter, the first time you get it, you always overpay if you're going to overpay. Again, I don't think I did too bad at $60 or $70. I don't think the second time that I would buy this, I would pay much more than that at $60 or $70. This first glass is so smooth. Both of these are so smooth. The tasting notes on this are also very similar. Again, a little bit more spicy on this side with, what is this one? This is my eyelashes. The eyelashes, I think, were a little bit spicier, which tends to lean towards the Elmer T. Lee with that higher rye mash bill. But maybe I'm just messing up the proof, and maybe that's a little bit of a proof thing. I'm not too sure yet. This glass literally has like no whiskey in it, which is going to make this a little tough, but we're going to do our best. Oh yeah, much sweeter over here. This one does taste a lot more fruit notes on this. I get like a cornbread taste on both of these, and it's absolutely delicious. It's like fresh baked cornbread. I love cornbread. Like a corn muffin is the exact thing that I'm thinking of. And I've talked before about how I don't get wild tasting notes. I don't think cornbread is too much of a wild tasting notes, or a corn muffin when you're talking about something that's 50, 60% corn, whatever this happens to be, at least 51 obviously. But depending on the mash bill on this, 60, 65, 70% corn, who knows. These are both fantastic. They're both very similar. The only real big distinguishing factor that I'm getting right now is a little bit more spice on this side. And you guys know that I love a little bit of spice, right? The sweetness is always great, but if it doesn't balance out with anything, if it's straight sweetness, I don't really like it that much. And if it's straight spicy and there's nothing to really make it complex or deep or anything, I don't really like that either. I was expecting the Elmer T. Lee to be a lot less complex than the John J. Bowman, just strictly off proof and my experiences with it in the past. But for a 90 proof bourbon, whichever one this happens to be, it has some tasting notes that are absolutely fantastic and in your face. They're not hidden in the background, right? So obviously I'm not 100% that this is double distilled at Buffalo Trace and single distilled at A. Smith Bowman, right? But we do know that it is aged at A. Smith Bowman, which is nice because we're out of Buffalo Trace, right? We're out of Kentucky. We're in a whole different warehouse, different heat, different humidity, and all those factors go into making this a different product when it comes to the aging process on this, which does lend me to believe it's going to taste different than any other Buffalo Trace product that I've had before. At least it should. And the only other company that I definitely know that's triple distilling is Woodford Reserve, right? They have the copper pot stills. Their famous picture is the 3-pot stills in the front of their distillery. So it's interesting to see how that would affect all of this. But I'm really curious which one of these is which, because honestly, at this point, I have no idea. All that being said, let's just finish these up. There wasn't a lot in either one of these. I'm going to finish them up. I'm going to guess. This is strictly going to be a guess. I'm going to guess that this one is the Elmer T. Lee just because it's a little bit spicier, and this one is the John J. Bowman just because it's a little bit sweeter. I think the triple distilled process is going to bring out more of those fruity notes. But let's drink these up and let's pick our favorite, and let's see who's going to move on to the final four. So I will say that this is absolutely fantastic. It's one of my favorite flavor profiles when it comes to bourbon, right? You get the sweetness, you get that real nice rye spice, and then it just tapers out at the end with a little bit of age behind it, a little bit of that oak, a little bit of that leather. I would love to see this go up against like something like a Wild Turkey. I don't know if this does move on, how it's going to fare against Jack Daniel's Coy Hill, just because of how predominant that flavor profile was for Jack Daniel's Coy Hill. But it's definitely going to have a chance whichever one it is. This one, let's get to it. Let's take the last sip. Let's pick which one's which, and let's pick our winner. I'll be honest with you, I'm going to switch. I'm going to completely switch this up. This has to be the Elmer T. Lee. If this is 90 proof, if this is 100 proof, that is one of the best 100 proofs I've ever had. This is so smooth, so easy to drink. It's definitely not as hot when it comes to this one over here. But I'm going to pick this one. And I'm going to tell you right now that going into this, I thought the Elmer T. Lee was going to win. And as of right now, in my mind, this is the Elmer T. Lee, and this is going to lose to whatever this is, assuming it's the John J. Bowman. I absolutely think that this is fantastic. This is delicious, by the way. Super smooth, super sweet. Not a lot of rye spice on this, which is the most confusing part about this, right? If this is the Elmer T. Lee, that's 90 proof, and that's fantastic, and it's delicious. But it just doesn't quite stand up. I think this is the John J. Bowman. I do. But if this is the Elmer T. Lee, it drinks a little hot, but at the same time, the flavor profile. We're strictly going off a taste on this. The flavor profile on this is just fantastic. So it's tough. This drinks like the 90 proof, but this drinks like the high rye. And that's what we've got going on here. But there's only one way to figure out which one's which. We got to take out our answer key. Drum roll, please. Let's get the results. I'm actually super excited about this one. And the answer is, you already know. Bowman Brothers is the eyelashes. That's what it is, folks. Bowman Brothers, I think, is the upset right here. Elmer T. Lee is highly sought after. John J. Bowman is sitting on your shelves probably. This bottle right here, I think this is the upset of the first bracket right now. John J. Bowman just has my personal flavor profile preference. It's sweet, it's spicy, it's a little bit hot, but at the same time at 100 proof, it doesn't drink crazy over it. Elmer T. Lee, absolutely a fantastic bottle. If you're looking for a super easy sipper, if you're looking for something that's super sweet, super fruit forward, a little bit of spice on the end, you're not going to go wrong with the Elmer T. Lee. But for my personal flavor profile, John J. Bowman is going to take this round. There we have it, folks. John J. Bowman taking out Elmer T. Lee in the first round. This is the upset story of the first round, if you ask me. We're busting brackets. This is what March Madness is all about. John Jay will try and go up against Jack Daniels Coy Hill on the 22nd. We have Russell's Reserve Single Barrel versus Blanton's on the 24th to see who can move on to the championship round. But listen, that's where I'm going to leave you for today. If you want to help support the channel, click that like, click that subscribe button. It's free, it's easy. 2 clicks of a button, you can help support the algorithm right here. Come check me out on Instagram. We're doing great giveaways throughout this entire process. If you want to help support the channel financially, check us out on Patreon. That link is in the description below. And if you want to come chat with a bunch of bourbon like-minded individuals, come check us out on Discord. That link in the description below as well. Please don't drink and drive. Always drink responsibly and stay healthy, stay happy, stay drinking. Cheers, y'all. Damn.